My phone buzzes for the 15th time in 20 minutes. Each notification is from the same person, Noah, the man who broke my heart with a single text message 8 months ago. The same man who now floods my phone with desperate pleas. Please talk to me. I made a terrible mistake. I can't live without you. I watch the messages stack up with a calm I never possessed in my previous life. When I was the one sending these pathetic texts, begging for another chance. His latest message reads, "I'm outside your apartment, just 5 minutes, please." I smile as I tap the block contact button, remembering the night I died from an overdose after months of his silence, and how I woke up 3 years earlier with a chance to rewrite our story, this time with me holding all the power. I still remember the text that ended everything in my first life. 3 years together reduced to 3 sentences on a glowing screen. I need some space to figure things out. I don't think we want the same things anymore. I'm sorry. That was it. No warning, no real explanation. Just a digital goodbye while I sat alone in our favorite restaurant, waiting for him to show up for our anniversary dinner. I'd been checking my watch, worried he'd been in an accident. Instead, he was executing my emotional execution from a safe distance. "Hey, are you okay?" the waitress had asked, her eyes full of pity as I stared at my phone. "He's not coming," I'd managed to say before the tears started. "He just broke up with me. By text." She'd brought me a free glass of wine, as if Cabernet could heal the wound ripped open in my chest. The weeks that followed were a blur of desperate attempts to reach him, calls, texts, emails. Standing outside his apartment in the rain like some pathetic movie cliché. "Noah, please," I'd begged through his intercom. "Just tell me what happened. I deserve that much." No response, just silence and the eventual click of the intercom disconnecting. My friend Jade found me there, mascara streaked down my face, clothes soaked through. "Allie, this has to stop," she'd said, wrapping her coat around my shoulders. "He's not worth this." But I couldn't stop. The messages continued for months. "Please talk to me. I don't understand what happened. Did I do something wrong? I can't eat, I can't sleep, I can't function. Just tell me why." The silence was deafening. 8 months later, I swallowed a bottle of sleeping pills. Not really meaning to die, just wanting the pain to stop for a few hours. I miscalculated. Then darkness, then light, and suddenly I was waking up in my old apartment, phone showing a date 3 years in the past. The day before the gallery opening where I first met Noah. This Richter piece really speaks to the fragility of urban spaces, don't you think? The voice behind me is exactly as I remember it. Confident, slightly amused, with that subtle rasp that once made my heart race. I turned slowly, coming face to face with Noah Crawford for the first time. He looks exactly the same, tall with artfully tousled dark hair, and those intense blue eyes that crinkle slightly at the corners when he smiles. He's wearing a gray button-down that brings out the flecks of silver in his irises. His cologne, bergamot and cedar, hits me with a wave of sense memory so strong I almost stagger. In my first life, I'd blushed and stammered something about loving Richter's use of color. I'd been so immediately, painfully captivated by this handsome stranger who seemed interested in both art and me. This time, I simply arch an eyebrow and turn back to the painting. "I think Richter's more interested in memory than space," I reply coolly. "How recollection blurs and distorts what we thought we knew." He blinks, clearly expecting my original response, enthusiastic, eager to connect. This new script throws him off balance. "That's insightful," he says, shifting closer. "I'm Noah, by the way." "Allie." I extend my hand professionally, withdrawing it before his touch can linger. "Nice to meet you." "Can I buy you a drink, Allie? The bar here makes an excellent dirty martini." In my first life, I'd practically tripped over myself accepting. This time, I check my watch. "I actually have another event to get to," I lie smoothly, "but thanks for the offer." I move to step away, counting silently in my head. 3, 2, 1. "What about tomorrow night?" he calls after me. "Dinner at Maison?" I turn back, allowing myself a small smile. "I'm free Thursday, not tomorrow." The flash of surprise on his face is delicious. Noah Crawford isn't used to women rearranging their schedules to accommodate his. He's used to being the prize, the catch, the one who sets the terms. Thursday works, he agrees, the challenge in my indifference already hooking him. 7:30? Make it 8, I reply, already walking away. I'll meet you there. As I exit the gallery, my heart pounds with vindication and power. Phase 1 complete. He's already following a completely different script than our first meeting, one where he's pursuing me rather than graciously allowing me to pursue him. This time, Noah Crawford will fall completely in love with me. And this time, I'll be the one to break his heart. I don't get it, Mia says, watching me get ready for my third date with Noah. You're acting like you barely care if you see him again, but you're also seeing him 3 times in 2 weeks? I carefully apply another coat of mascara, keeping my expression neutral. I'm just not making him the center of my world this time. This time, Jade looks up from my bed where she's flipping through a magazine. What does that mean? I freeze for a microsecond before recovering. Figure of speech, I just mean I'm not going to be one of those girls who drops everything for a guy. But he's gorgeous, Mia presses, like legitimately model hot and successful, and he's clearly into you. Which is exactly why I shouldn't act too available, I reply, selecting a deep red lipstick that I know will leave Noah distracted all evening. Jade narrows her eyes. This is a strategy? Since when are you strategic about dating? You're usually all heart, no game. If they only knew. In my previous life, I'd gushed about Noah constantly from our very first meeting. I'd analyzed every text with him, canceled plans when he was suddenly free, constructed my entire world around his orbit. They'd watched me build a shrine to our relationship only to later help sweep up the broken pieces of me when he shattered it all with a single text. People change, I say lightly, smoothing my hair. Maybe I've realized that going all in immediately doesn't work out so well. Wait, Jade sits up straight. Noah Crawford? Why does that name sound familiar? My pulse quickens. Does it? She snaps her fingers. Didn't you mention him once? That super hot guy you saw at some gallery but were too intimidated to talk to? You said he was way out of your league. The memory hits me. A conversation from my previous life before I'd actually met Noah. I'd spotted him at a different exhibition and pointed him out to Jade, but hadn't worked up the courage to approach him until our actual meeting a month later. Same guy, I manage. We finally met at the Richter exhibition. And you didn't tell us it was that guy? Mia exclaims. The one you were practically drooling over? I grab my purse, anxious to escape this dangerous conversation. I wasn't sure at first. Anyway, I'm going to be late. This is so weird, Jade says, studying me. Since when do you keep things from us? And since when do you play it cool with someone you were literally describing as Greek god meets creative genius? Since I decided not to repeat past mistakes, the words come out sharper than intended. What past mistakes? Mia asks, confusion clear on her face. You've never even dated anyone like him before. The weight of my double memories, of a timeline they'll never know, presses on my chest. How do I explain that I've lived this all before? That I know exactly how this man will destroy me if I let him? Just general past mistakes, I say, forcing a smile. Look, I need to go. I'll tell you everything tomorrow. As I close the apartment door behind me, I hear Jade say to Mia, something's different about her. I can't put my finger on it, but she's changed. She has no idea just how right she is. 3 months into our new relationship, Noah shows up at my office with an enormous bouquet of peonies. My favorite flowers, though I've carefully never mentioned this to him in this timeline. These are gorgeous, I say, genuinely surprised. In our original relationship, Noah never once sent flowers. Not for birthdays, not for Valentine's, not even after arguments. What's the occasion? Do I need one? He leans against my desk looking unfairly handsome in a tailored navy suit. Maybe I just wanted to brighten your day. My coworker Layla gives me a not-so-subtle thumbs up from across the office. I smile despite myself. This is new territory, a Noah who makes grand gestures, who seems eager to impress me. You've certainly gotten everyone's attention, I observe, nodding toward my openly staring colleagues. I'm only interested in yours. He lowers his voice. Have dinner with me tonight? I want to introduce you to some people who are important to me. In our first timeline, I didn't meet his close friends until we'd been dating for 6 months. This acceleration signals his growing attachment, exactly as I planned. Who? I ask, deliberately casual. My old college roommate Ryan and his wife, and my business partner Sam. He watches my reaction carefully. They're like family to me. I pretend to check my calendar, making him wait. I think I can move some things around. Relief flashes across his face. Great, I'll pick you up at 7. I'll meet you there, I counter, maintaining my independence. Just text me the address. A flicker of frustration crosses his features before he smooths it away. Always so self-sufficient. Is that a problem? I challenge. No, he says quickly. It's refreshing, actually. Most women I've dated have been... He trails off. More accommodating? I suggest, raising an eyebrow. He has the grace to look slightly embarrassed. I was going to say more predictable. Well, I'd hate to be predictable, I say, standing to usher him out. See you at 7. Later that night, over expensive wine and perfectly seared scallops, I watch Noah interact with his inner circle. He's different with me this time. More attentive, more demonstrative. His hand finds the small of my back. He references inside jokes we share. He looks at me when someone else is speaking to gauge my reaction. So, how did you two meet? Ryan's wife Melissa asks, clearly charmed by what she's witnessing. Art gallery, Noah answers before I can. She had this fascinating take on Richter that completely changed how I saw the piece. He used a cheesy line about urban spaces, I add, making everyone laugh. It worked though, didn't it? Noah says, his eyes never leaving mine. Did it? I counter playfully. Under the table, his hand finds my knee. I'd say the jury's still out. The conversation flows easily, but I maintain a slight reserve, laughing at their stories, but sharing few of my own, answering questions without volunteering extra information. I can feel Noah's frustration at not being able to fully draw me out, at not having me perform the role of adoring girlfriend for his friends. As we leave the restaurant, he pulls me into the quiet darkness beside the building. They loved you, he says, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. They seem great, I reply neutrally. But, he prompts, sensing my deliberate distance. I shrug. No, but I had a good time. You're so hard to read sometimes. His voice carries a hint of complaint. I never know what you're thinking. Maybe that's good for you, I suggest. You seem like someone who's used to getting everything he wants, exactly when he wants it. Instead of being offended, he laughs. You've got me pegged pretty well. Do I? His expression turns serious as he studies my face. I think you might be exactly what I need, Allie. And what's that? Someone who doesn't make things too easy. He leans in, his lips brushing mine. Someone who keeps me guessing. The kiss deepens, and for a dangerous moment, I feel myself responding with genuine desire rather than calculated strategy. I pull back, maintaining control. I should get home, I say. Early meeting tomorrow. He sighs. Let me drive you at least. I already called a car. I show him the app on my phone. It's 2 minutes away. Disappointment flashes across his face. You never let me take care of you. I take care of myself. I kiss him lightly. It's worked out pretty well so far. As I slide into the rideshare, I see him standing on the sidewalk, looking slightly lost. Good. The more he feels he can't quite reach me, the harder he'll try. The harder he tries, the more it will hurt when he finally loses me, just as I planned. I love you. The words hang in the air between us, spoken 6 months into our relationship, 4 months earlier than in our original timeline. We're in his loft apartment, rain streaming down the floor-to-ceiling windows, the remains of dinner spread across his coffee table. I look up from my wine glass, carefully measuring my response. In our first life, I'd blurted, I love you too, immediately, too eager, too grateful, too willing to give away my power. That's a big thing to say, I reply quietly. His face falls slightly, but not big enough for you to say back? I set down my glass. Noah, I care about you, a lot, but I don't rush into those words. It's been 6 months, he points out, an edge entering his voice. Is there a timeline I'm supposed to follow? I ask mildly. He runs a hand through his hair, frustrated. No, of course not. I've never felt this way before, Allie. I've never been this sure about someone. The irony is almost painful. In our first life, I said those exact words to him, and he responded with an ambivalent, "That's really sweet." "I appreciate you telling me," I say, using his original lukewarm response. He sits back, clearly thrown by this deviation from the script he expected. "You're impossible sometimes, you know that?" "Because I don't immediately say what you want to hear?" "Because you keep this wall up," he says, leaning forward intently. "You let me get just close enough to see how amazing you are, then you pull back. Every single time." I take a sip of wine to hide my satisfaction. He's describing exactly the dynamic I've carefully constructed, the emotional equivalent of intermittent reinforcement, the most addictive pattern possible. "I've been hurt before," I say simply. It's not even a lie. His expression softens. "I would never hurt you, Allie." The declaration nearly makes me laugh out loud, if he only knew. "Everyone says that," I respond, "until they do." He moves to sit beside me, taking my hands in his. "Give me a chance to prove it, please." I study his face, so earnest, so convinced of his own good intentions. In this moment, he truly believes what he's saying. That's what makes it all so perfect. He has no idea he's already proven exactly the opposite in another lifetime. "I'm trying," I tell him, allowing vulnerability to color my voice. "It's just hard for me." "I'm not going anywhere," he promises, pulling me close, "however long it takes." As his arms wrap around me, I rest my head against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. For a dangerous moment, I allow myself to remember how it felt the first time. The pure joy of loving him without reservation, without agenda, without the knowledge of how it would end. No, I can't afford those feelings. This isn't about finding love again. This is about justice, about balance, about making him feel exactly what I felt when he discarded me without a second thought. I close my eyes and let him hold me, already calculating the next phase of my plan. "A weekend away?" I repeat, looking up from my laptop. "Where?" Noah sits across from me at my tiny kitchen table, excitement evident in his expression. "The Berkshires. I found this amazing boutique hotel with private cabins. Hiking trails, farm-to-table restaurant, outdoor hot tubs." "When?" "Next weekend, for our 6-month anniversary." I deliberately hesitate, though I've been expecting this. In our original timeline, we never made it to 6 months. He dumped me at 5 months and 27 days. This milestone represents uncharted territory, proof that my strategy is working. "I'll need to check my work schedule," I say, turning back to my laptop. "Allie." His voice carries a note of hurt. "It's our anniversary. Can't you at least act a little excited?" I look up, catching the flash of insecurity in his eyes. "Perfect. Of course I'm excited." I soften my tone. "It sounds lovely. I just need to make sure I can fully disconnect from work so I can be present with you." His expression brightens immediately. "So that's a yes?" "It's a let me check and confirm tomorrow," I say with a small smile. "But probably yes." He comes around the table to kiss me. "You're going to love it, and I've already cleared my schedule completely. No calls, no emails, just us." The old Allie would have melted at this romantic gesture. The new Allie, the reborn Allie, sees it as the perfect opportunity to implement the next phase of her plan. The following weekend, we're winding through tree-lined roads in his Audi, fall foliage creating a kaleidoscope of red and gold around us. Noah chatters about the hotel, the restaurant reservations he's made, the hiking trail he wants to show me. "It's the perfect place to really connect," he says, reaching for my hand across the console. "No distractions." "It looks beautiful," I agree, gazing out the window. "You seem distant today," he observes, concern creeping into his voice. "Everything okay?" This is deliberate on my part, creating emotional distance before a weekend he's planned as a romantic milestone. "Just tired," I reply. "Busy week." He squeezes my hand. "Well, now you can relax completely." The hotel is even more picturesque than he described. Rustic luxury in the form of private cabins nestled among maple trees. Ours features a stone fireplace, a king-sized bed draped in crisp white linens, and a deck with a private hot tub overlooking the mountains. Noah, this is gorgeous, I say, genuine appreciation slipping through my calculated facade. His face lights up at my reaction. Only the best for our anniversary. That evening, over an exquisite dinner, he presents me with a small jewelry box. Inside is a delicate gold bracelet with a tiny star charm. Because you've always been a guiding light for me, he says, fastening it around my wrist. Even when I feel lost in my own thoughts, you bring me back to what matters. The gesture catches me off guard. In our original relationship, gifts were practical, rarely sentimental. This Noah, the one who's never quite sure of my affection, tries so much harder. It's beautiful, I say softly. Thank you. I have something else to tell you, he continues, excitement evident in his voice. I've been offered an amazing opportunity. A project in Copenhagen. Prestigious client, major exposure for the firm. That's fantastic, I say, genuinely happy for him. Noah's architecture career has always been his passion. When would it start? That's the thing. He hesitates. It's a 6-month project, starting next month. I carefully set down my fork. 6 months in Copenhagen? The firm wants to establish a European presence. This could be huge for my career. This is unexpected, a complication in my carefully orchestrated plan. In our original timeline, there was no Copenhagen project. This represents a divergence, a butterfly effect from the changes I've already made in our relationship. You'd want me to... I let the question hang. Come with me, he says eagerly. You can work remotely for a few months. Your firm has European clients anyway, right? It would be an adventure. I force myself to look hesitant. Noah, that's a massive change. My whole life is here, my job, my friends. It's only 6 months, he presses. Think about it. Copenhagen in winter, snow falling on those colorful buildings, Christmas markets, cozy nights in a European apartment. My career is at a critical point too, I say carefully. The Westerly account is huge, and they specifically requested me to lead the project. His enthusiasm dims slightly, so you wouldn't even consider it. Here it is, the perfect opportunity to create the pressure that will eventually make him run. In my original plan, I would have manufactured a similar scenario, but this real opportunity works even better. I didn't say that, I reply. But you're asking me to put my career on hold for yours. That's a serious conversation, not a romantic surprise over anniversary dinner. Tension seeps into the space between us. I thought you'd be excited, he says, disappointment evident in his voice. I'm excited for your opportunity, I clarify, but my professional goals matter too. Of course they do, he backpedals. I just thought we could find a way to make it work together. The rest of dinner passes with forced conversation, the romantic mood effectively shattered. Back in our cabin, Noah attempts to salvage the evening, building a fire while I sit quietly on the sofa. I'm sorry, he finally says, sitting beside me. I sprung that on you unfairly. I was just so excited about the possibility of sharing that experience with you. I turn to face him. Can I ask you something honestly? Anything. Would you turn down this opportunity for me? If I had a similar project in, say, California, would you put your career on hold to follow me? The question catches him off guard. His hesitation before answering tells me everything. That's different, he says carefully. How? I challenge. My firm is specifically expanding in Europe. This isn't just any project, it's career-defining. And you assume mine isn't? He runs a hand through his hair, frustration building. I'm not saying that. I just thought you'd be more supportive. Supportive doesn't mean dropping everything to follow your dreams at the expense of mine, I counter. Where is this coming from? He asks, genuinely confused. You've never talked about your job being this important to you before. Because in our first life, I diminished my ambitions to accommodate his. I made myself smaller to avoid exactly this conflict. Not this time. Maybe you never really asked, I suggest quietly. The statement hits him like a physical blow. That's not fair, Allie. Isn't it? I stand up, moving toward the windows. You made plans for our future assuming I'd just slot into them. Did you consider for a moment what I might be giving up? I thought we were building something together, he says, voice rising slightly. I thought you'd want to be with me. I do, I say, softening my tone, but not at the cost of myself. His expression shifts, anger giving way to a flash of fear of losing me. In our original timeline, I never pushed back this way. I would have eventually agreed to Copenhagen, rearranged my entire life to accommodate his dreams. I don't want to fight, he says, approaching me cautiously, not tonight. Neither do I. He wraps his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder as we look out at the moonlit mountains. We'll figure it out. Together. I promise. I lean back against him, feeling his heartbeat against my spine. Some things can't be figured out, Noah. Sometimes people want fundamentally different things. His arms tighten around me. Don't say that. I'm just being realistic. We're stronger than that, he insists. What we have is special, Allie. I've never felt this way about anyone. The fear in his voice is exactly what I've been working toward, making him afraid of losing me rather than afraid of keeping me. The reversal is intoxicating. Let's just enjoy the weekend, I suggest, turning in his arms to face him. We can talk about Copenhagen when we're back home. Relief washes over his features. Okay, that sounds perfect. Later, as he sleeps beside me, I stare at the ceiling, calculating my next moves. The Copenhagen situation creates an ideal pressure point, a natural reason to increase the commitment conversation, to push for decisions about our future that I know will trigger his escape response. The plan is proceeding even better than I anticipated. Within weeks, Noah Crawford will break up with me by text message, just as he did in our original timeline. Only this time, I'll be the one who orchestrated it all. This time, I'll be ready. My parents really want to meet you, I say casually, stirring cream into my coffee. We're having Sunday brunch at his favorite bistro 2 weeks after the Berkshires weekend. The Copenhagen conversation has been deliberately left simmering in the background, a source of unresolved tension. Noah looks up from his phone, surprise evident. Your parents? In Ohio? They're coming to town next weekend, I lie smoothly. In our first timeline, Noah never met my family. He broke up with me the week before their planned visit. Just for a couple of days. Next weekend? He frowns slightly. I have that design charrette on Saturday. They're free on Sunday, I press. Just brunch. 2 hours tops. His discomfort is palpable. It's just, things feel a little unsettled right now. With Copenhagen and everything. What does Copenhagen have to do with meeting my parents? I ask innocently. He shifts in his seat. Meeting parents is a big step, Allie. We've been together 6 months, I point out. Most people would say that's a reasonable time frame. I know, it's just... He trails off, unable to articulate his resistance without sounding commitment phobic. Just what? Nothing. He forces a smile. Sunday brunch sounds fine. I reach for his hand across the table. They're going to love you. My mom's already excited based on what I've told her. His smile tightens almost imperceptibly. What exactly have you told her? Just that you are brilliant and talented, I say, adding the perfect pressure point, and that things are getting serious between us. He nearly chokes on his coffee. Serious? Aren't they? I challenge gently. You just asked me to move to Denmark with you. For 6 months, he clarifies quickly, as an adventure. Still sounds pretty serious to me, I observe, watching anxiety flicker across his features. His phone buzzes, providing a welcome escape. Sorry, I need to take this. Work emergency. As he steps outside to take the call, I allow myself a small smile of satisfaction. The foundation is laid. Now for the final push. That evening, I invite him to a dinner party at Jade's apartment. What I don't tell him is that 3 of the couples attending have recently gotten engaged or married. The conversation inevitably turns to weddings, honeymoon destinations, and future plans. So, when are you two taking the plunge? Jade's fiance asks Noah over dessert, gesturing between us with his wine glass. Noah's smile freezes in place. We're focusing on careers right now. Noah is moving to Copenhagen for 6 months, I announced to the table. He asked me to go with him. All eyes turn to us with interest. That's a big step, Mia observes, practically like moving in together. We haven't decided anything yet, Noah says quickly. But you'd have to, right? Jade's fiancé presses. I mean, lease agreements, shipping belongings, that's basically cohabitation. Noah's discomfort is now clearly visible. It would just be temporary. That's what my brother said when his girlfriend moved to Boston with him for his medical residency. Another friend chimes in. They were married 8 months later. I watch Noah's expression grow increasingly panicked as the conversation swirls around future plans, shared apartments, and relationship milestones. This is exactly the social pressure that triggered his escape response in our original timeline, feeling trapped, cornered, expected to commit. As we leave Jade's apartment, Noah is unusually quiet. You okay? I ask, knowing full well he isn't. Fine, he replies tersely. Just tired. Everyone liked you, I offer. They seemed very focused on relationships. I shrug. Most of them are at that stage of life. Engagements, weddings, next steps. And you? He asks, glancing at me sideways. Is that where your head is at, too? This is it, the perfect opening for the final trigger. I don't know, Noah, I say thoughtfully. Tonight made me realize how much our relationship has grown, how important you've become to me. I feel him tense beside me, his step faltering slightly. I should get home, he says abruptly. Early meeting tomorrow. Want to come over tomorrow night? I press. We can talk more about Copenhagen and meeting my parents. Actually, I've got a crazy week ahead, he deflects. Let me check my schedule and get back to you. I lean up to kiss him, feeling his reflexive response even as his mind is clearly elsewhere. Tonight made me realize how much our future together means to me, I whisper against his lips. The words hit their mark. I see the panic flash in his eyes before he masks it with a tight smile. Good night, Allie, he says, already backing toward his car. As I watch him drive away, I know exactly what will happen next. He'll spend days avoiding meaningful contact, making excuses about work, creating distance. And then when he's due to attend an out-of-town conference that provides perfect cover, exactly 7 days from now, the breakup text will come, just as it did before. Only, this time, I won't be destroyed by it. This time, I'm the architect of his decision, not its victim. This time, I win. For the next week, I play my part perfectly. I send cheerful, slightly clingy texts about missing him. I make references to Copenhagen apartments I've been looking at online. I mention my mother's excitement about meeting him. Noah responds with increasing delay and brevity. Swamped at work. Can't talk now. We'll call you later. He doesn't call later. The distance grows exactly as I predicted, his withdrawal following the same pattern as our first timeline. The difference is that now I understand it's not sudden. It's the culmination of pressure I've deliberately applied, triggering his existing fear of commitment. On Thursday, the day before his conference, I send a carefully crafted message. Can't wait to see you when you get back Sunday. Maybe we can have dinner with my parents? They're excited to finally meet the man who's become so important to me. He doesn't respond. Friday morning arrives. In my first life, this was the day I sat alone at our favorite restaurant, waiting for a man who would never show up, receiving instead the text that would shatter my world. This time, I'm at home in yoga pants, calmly sipping coffee, watching the minutes tick by on my kitchen clock. His flight to the conference left at 8 a.m. Based on his previous pattern, the text will come once he's safely in another city, removed from any immediate fallout. My phone buzzes at 10:17 a.m., right on schedule. I take a deep breath before checking the message, savoring the moment of perfect control. Noah, I need space to figure things out. I'm not ready for what you want. I'm sorry. Almost word for word from our first timeline. The predictability would be comical if it weren't so vindictively satisfying. For authenticity's sake, I send two brief responses. What, Noah? What are you talking about? And then, can we please talk about this? This doesn't make sense. Then nothing. No desperate calls, no showing up at his apartment, no barrage of increasingly pathetic messages, just silence. The last thing he expects from me based on our relationship dynamic. I set my phone down and smile. Phase 1 complete. Now the real satisfaction begins. Watching Noah Crawford experience the exact pain he inflicted on me in another lifetime. 6 months pass in a carefully orchestrated dance of silence and strategic public appearances. I thrive visibly on social media, posting about career advancements, weekend trips with friends, a life that appears completely healed and moved on. In reality, each post is calculated, designed to reach Noah's eyes and twist the knife deeper. The pattern follows exactly as I predicted. First came relief. Noah enjoying his freedom with social media posts of bar nights and weekend trips. Then confusion, as my complete silence continued where once there had been desperate pleading. Then the tentative reach-outs. Just checking in texts that I leave on read. The thinking of you messages I never acknowledge. 1 month turned to 2, then 3. The flowers delivered to my office. The voicemails I never returned. The email explaining his fears that I deleted without reading. 3 months post-breakup, he appeared at my workplace with a grand romantic gesture. A recreation of our first meeting, complete with a miniature version of the Richter painting we'd discussed at the gallery. My colleagues sighed and smiled, unaware of the history, the manipulation. "Please, Allie," he'd said, his voice breaking in front of my entire office. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I'd simply gathered my things, smiled politely, and said, "Thank you for the gesture, Noah, but I'm late for a meeting." The shock on his face as I walked away, that was the first real taste of justice. The conversations that followed in the stairwell revealed a Noah I'd never seen before. Vulnerable, desperate, tearful. "You can't break someone and expect them to thank you for offering to glue them back together," I told him, words I'd rehearsed for months. He called 17 times that night, left voicemails that progressed from composed to increasingly frantic. I listened to each one, savoring the reversal of our positions. Before blocking his number, I sent one final text. Now you know exactly how it felt. Justice served. Revenge complete. The power balanced. Or so I thought. Until today, when I look up from my laptop in a downtown coffee shop to find him standing before me, nearly unrecognizable. Thinner, paler, dark circles under his eyes, hair longer and unkempt. Nothing like the polished architect who once broke my heart with 3 sentences. "Allie," he says simply, "can I have 5 minutes?" My first instinct is to refuse, to maintain the wall of silence that served me so well. But curiosity wins out. What more could he possibly have to say? 5 minutes, I agree, gesturing to the empty chair across from me. He sits down slowly, his movements uncertain in a way the old Noah never was. For a moment, he just looks at me, studying my face as if memorizing features he thought he'd never see again. "I know this isn't your first time living through our relationship," he finally says. The words hit me like a physical blow. My coffee cup slips from my fingers, splashing across the table. "What did you say?" My voice comes out as a whisper. "Because I died too," he continues calmly, handing me napkins for the spill. "After you did. And I came back remembering everything." The world tilts sideways. This can't be happening. This isn't possible. The one thing I never considered, that I wouldn't be the only one who remembered. "I don't know what you're talking about," I manage, but my trembling hands betray me. "You overdosed on sleeping pills," he says, voice so low only I can hear. "November 17th, in that studio apartment on Marion Street. Jade found you the next morning when you didn't show up for brunch. No one knows these details, no one except me." "How could you possibly, Because I read the police report, he interrupts gently. 6 months after your death, when Jade finally told me what happened. People are staring at my spilled coffee, at my pale face, at whatever they can sense happening between us. Let's go somewhere else, I say abruptly, gathering my things with shaking hands. 10 minutes later, we're sitting on a park bench far enough from other visitors to speak freely. My mind races, trying to process this impossibility. Start from the beginning, I demand, and it better be good. Noah takes a deep breath. In the original timeline, after I broke up with you by text, I blocked your number, changed my email. I was running from what I'd done, from the commitment panic that had overwhelmed me. He looks down at his hands. 3 months later, I ran into Mia at a work event. She told me exactly what I'd done to you, the depression, the therapy, the medications that weren't working. I brushed it off, told myself you'd get over it. Then 6 months after our breakup, Jade called me, told me you were dead, that you'd taken an overdose of sleeping pills. His voice breaks slightly. She said they found my name written over and over in your journal, pages of unsent letters to me. I close my eyes against the memory, the desperate scribbling, trying to make sense of the abandonment, the silence. I didn't believe it at first, he continues. Told myself it couldn't have been because of me, that you must have had other problems. But then Jade had sent me the police report. Your therapist's statement about your depression following an abrupt and traumatic relationship termination. What does this have to do with you supposedly dying too, I ask, still skeptical despite the details only he would know. The guilt destroyed me, he says simply. I started drinking, couldn't work, couldn't sleep without seeing your face. 6 months after your death, almost to the day, I wrapped my car around a tree driving home drunk from a bar. He pulls up his sleeve, revealing a jagged scar I've never seen before. This doesn't exist in this timeline, but I remember getting it in the crash. And then what? You just woke up in the past? The same impossible experience I had. He nods. The morning of the gallery opening, our first meeting. I thought I'd been given a miracle, a chance to find you and do everything differently, to never hurt you like I did before. A terrible understanding begins to dawn on me. But I was different. Yes. His eyes meet mine directly. The Allie I met at the gallery wasn't the same woman from my memories. You were guarded. Cold, strategic. He smiles sadly. It took me weeks to realize you remembered too, that you were deliberately orchestrating the entire relationship. You knew? The realization that my carefully constructed revenge was transparent to him the entire time hits me like a wave of cold water. You knew and you just played along? I deserved it, he says simply. Everything you did to me. I deserved worse for what I'd done to you. I figured if this was my penance, I'd accept it. Anger flares bright and hot. So this was all some noble self-sacrifice? Poor Noah martyring himself to make the crazy ex-girlfriend feel better? No. He shakes his head firmly. This was me trying, pathetically, to atone for the fact that my cowardice literally cost you your life. And knowing that no matter what you did to me in return, it could never balance the scales. The raw honesty in his voice silences my anger. We sit in heavy silence, two people who shared a relationship across 2 lifetimes, who both remember a timeline that no longer exists. Why did you do it? I finally ask, the question that haunted me through death and rebirth. The text, the silence afterward. If you ever cared at all, how could you just disappear? He takes a deep breath. Panic. Pure and simple. I'd never felt as intensely about anyone as I did about you, and it terrified me. That night at dinner, when you talked about our future, I had what I now know was a full-blown panic attack in the bathroom. You seemed fine when you left, I say, remembering. I was dissociating. I got home, couldn't breathe, couldn't think straight. Texted you in that state, then was too ashamed to face the fallout. His voice drops. Each day that passed made it harder to respond, to explain. So I took the coward's way out, blocked you, tried to convince myself I'd done the right thing for both of us. And when I showed up at your apartment, pain crosses his face. I watched you through the peephole, stood there frozen, listening to you cry, hating myself but still too paralyzed to open the door. He meets my eyes. It was the most despicable moment of my life. The honest admission unlocked something in my chest. The absolute truth I'd never gotten in my first life, the closure I'd died without. I spent 3 years planning my revenge. I admit, matching his honesty with my own. From the moment I woke up in the past, I had one goal: to make you feel exactly what I felt. I know, he says simply. I manipulated everything, every moment, every conversation, every fight. All designed to make you fall in love with me and then experience the same abandonment. You succeeded, he acknowledges, more thoroughly than you know. We sit in silence again, the weight of 2 lifetimes of pain hanging between us. What do we do now? I finally ask, the question that's been building since his impossible revelation. Now that we both remember everything? He turns to face me fully. I'm not asking for reconciliation, Allie. I don't deserve that, and you've earned your peace. His voice softens. But maybe we've been given this second chance for a reason. Not to be together, but to be whole. To heal what broke in both of us. The possibility terrifies me more than anything. Letting go of the narrative I've constructed. The control I've fought so hard to maintain. The revenge that's defined my second life. I don't know if I can, I whisper honestly. I understand, he says, standing to leave. But if you ever want to talk, really talk, not scheme or manipulate or punish, I'm here. We're the only 2 people in the world who understand what the other has lived through. As he walks away, I remain frozen on the bench, my carefully constructed reality completely shattered. The villain of my story has his own trauma, his own pain, his own death and rebirth. My revenge fantasy has been rewritten into something far more complex. That night, I lie awake staring at my ceiling, turning our conversation over and over in my mind. The satisfaction of revenge feels hollow now, knowing he recognized the punishment and accepted it willingly, knowing he too died and returned with the burden of memory. Around 3 a.m., I reach for my phone and start drafting a text. I write and delete a dozen versions before finally settling on the truth. I don't know what happens next either, but maybe we can figure it out together. His response comes immediately, as if he's been awake all night too. Just 3 words, and that's all I need. We meet at a small bistro in a neighborhood neither of us frequented in either timeline. Neutral ground. The awkwardness is palpable as we sit across from each other, 2 people who know everything about each other across multiple lifetimes. Ground rules? He suggests after we order. Complete honesty, I say immediately. No games, no strategies, no manipulation. Agreed. He hesitates. I should start by saying that I recognized what you were doing from our very first re-meeting at the gallery. The coldness, the distance, it was so different from how you were the first time. And you just went along with it? I still can't wrap my mind around this. Yes. He looks directly at me. I told myself it was what I deserved, that if I could make you happy by letting you have your revenge, it was the least I could do after what happened. The admission deflates something in me. I spent 3 years planning the perfect revenge. From the moment I woke up in the past, it was all I thought about. How to make you fall in love with me and then experience exactly what I did. I know, he says softly. I watched it unfold, recognizing each calculated move. That's humiliating. I look down at my untouched food. No more humiliating than sending desperate texts to someone who's blocked your number, he counters. Or showing up crying at an apartment door that never opens. The simple truth of this silences me. We've both been exposed, vulnerable, pathetic in our different ways. God, what a mess we are, I finally say, a small laugh escaping despite myself. He smiles, the first genuine one I've seen since our conversation began. 2 people who literally died and came back sitting in a bistro trying to figure out what the hell to do next. Yeah, I'd say mess covers it. Something eases between us, the absurdity of our situation creating a strange intimacy that cuts through the tension. What do we do now? I ask, the question that's been haunting me since the park bench. Noah considers this carefully. What if we try again? He suggests, his voice hesitant. Not as who we were before, either time, but as who we are now, with all our cards on the table. The proposition terrifies me. How would that even work? I've spent years plotting your destruction. You spent months accepting punishment for something that technically hasn't happened in this timeline. We start slow, he says. We get to know each other authentically. No scripts from either timeline. Just us. Whoever we are now. With some ground rules, I add, the planner in me needing structure in this chaos. We maintain our independence. Separate friends, separate apartments, separate lives that intersect rather than merge. He nods, understanding. And no more texts for important conversations, he adds. Even difficult things deserve to be said face to face. The memory of that devastating text message flashes between us, the catalyst for death and rebirth in our original timeline. Agreed, I say firmly. As we finish our meal, something shifts between us. Not forgiveness exactly, not yet, but the possibility of a path forward. A third timeline neither of us has lived before. So, he says as we stand to leave, should I call you? Or is that too familiar for our new beginning? I consider this. Call me, I decide. But don't expect me to always answer. I'm still getting used to the idea that I don't hate you anymore. His laugh surprises both of us. Fair enough. We part on the sidewalk outside, careful not to touch, both aware of the strange new territory we're entering. A relationship built on the ruins of two previous attempts, with full awareness of exactly how it could all go wrong. I had to cancel tonight. I blurt into the phone, anxiety making my voice tight. Last-minute deadline. The client changed everything yesterday. 3 months into our third attempt at a relationship, and I'm still waiting for the other shoe to drop. For Noah to reveal that his patience, his understanding, his consistent presence is just another manipulation. That's okay, he says easily. Do you need anything? Food delivery? Coffee? You're not upset. About work being work? No. His tone is puzzled. Why would I be? The truth spills out before I can filter it. Because in our first life, canceled plans were the beginning of the end. Because in our second life, I used last-minute changes to create insecurity. Ah, he understands immediately. Well, in this life, canceled plans are just canceled plans, not a referendum on our relationship. The simple acceptance nearly brings tears to my eyes. Thank you, I manage. For what? Being a reasonable adult? For being different, I clarify. For us being different. 2 hours later, my doorman calls up to announce a delivery. I find a care package outside my door, my favorite takeout, good coffee beans, and a tiny potted succulent with a note. Hard to kill, even for the most distracted plant owner. No response needed, just fuel for your work night. The gesture holds no manipulation, no expectations, no hidden agenda, just support. For the first time, I feel a flicker of something dangerous. Genuine trust. When we meet for breakfast the next day, I bring it up directly, another new pattern between us. Actually discussing feelings rather than strategizing around them. I realized something when you sent that care package, I tell him. I've spent our entire relationship, all 3 versions, either being afraid of your rejection or orchestrating it. I don't know how to just be with you. I don't know how to just be with you either, he admits. In our first life, I was constantly looking for the exit. In our second, I was accepting punishment. This is uncharted territory for both of us. What if we're doomed to hurt each other no matter what timeline we're in? I voice my deepest fear. Or what if, he counters, we're the exact right people to heal each other, precisely because we know exactly how we could hurt each other? The possibility hangs between us, terrifying and exhilarating. I started seeing a therapist, I confess. Obviously, I can't tell her about rebirth in multiple timelines, but I'm working through it in metaphors she can understand. He smiles. Me too, actually. Mine thinks I'm speaking figuratively when I talk about dying and getting a second chance. The synchronicity of our choices, both seeking help to process our impossible situation, feels significant. Another sign that perhaps this third attempt could be different. Slowly, cautiously, we build something new. A drawer emptied for his things at my place. A key exchanged for emergencies only that gradually becomes a normal way to come and go. Small moments of trust, rebuilt one careful brick at a time. The test comes 6 months into our third relationship, a perfect echo of our breaking point in both previous timelines. I've been offered a position at the Singapore office. I tell him over dinner at his apartment. 1 year minimum commitment. His fork pauses halfway to his mouth. I watch his expression carefully, seeing the familiar flicker of panic. The same look that preceded his disappearance in our first life. The same reaction I deliberately triggered in our second. That's a significant opportunity, he says carefully, setting down his fork. When would you need to decide? 2 weeks. I maintain eye contact, refusing to flinch from the discomfort of this moment. I wanted to discuss it with you first. In another lifetime, this conversation would have ended differently, with withdrawal, distance, eventually abandonment. In our revenge timeline, I would have used it as pressure to trigger his escape. But this time, Noah takes a deep breath and asks, "What do you want to do?" Setting aside everything else, our relationship, logistics, all of it, what does Allie want? The question catches me off guard. No one, including me, has prioritized what I want in either of our previous timelines. I want the job, I admit. It's an incredible opportunity, but I also want... I hesitate, the vulnerability still difficult. I want us, this version of us. He nods, absorbing this. Then let's figure it out, together. Just like that? I'm suspicious of the simplicity. Not just like that, he corrects. It will be complicated and hard and scary. But the question isn't job or relationship. It's, how do we support both? We spend the entire night talking, really talking, not performing or manipulating or withholding. We discuss options, long distance, him coming with me, career sacrifices and compromises. Around 3 a.m. mid-discussion, I have a realization that stops me mid-sentence. What? Noah asks, noticing my expression. We're doing it, I say wonderingly. We're sitting with the discomfort. We're facing the fear instead of running from it or using it as a weapon. He reaches for my hand across the table. We're not the same people who failed each other before. The decision we ultimately reach is messy and imperfect, a combination of temporary long distance followed by Noah taking contract work in Singapore, maintaining his client base here while building connections there. It's not ideal for either of us, but it honors both our needs, both our dreams. Later that week, I break our no-text rule for important matters, sending a simple message. I'm proud of us. His response makes me smile. This message requires a face-to-face amendment per Section 3, Paragraph 2 of our relationship constitution. We're creating something entirely new, a relationship built not on fantasy or revenge, but on full awareness of our capacity to hurt each other and the choice to love anyway. 1 year after our new beginning, I wake up with a strange weight on my chest. The date on my phone confirms what my body already knows. Today is the anniversary of the breakup text in our second timeline. I say nothing about it to Noah over breakfast, but the awareness follows me throughout the day. The irrational fear that history has some gravitational pull, that today of all days might trigger a regression to old patterns. When I arrive home from work, I find Noah waiting outside my apartment, more formally dressed than usual, a manila envelope in his hands. Hi, I say cautiously, the date making me wary. I know what today is, he says simply. The text, the beginning of the end in timeline 2. Relief washes through me at the acknowledgement. I thought I was the only one who remembered. How could I forget? It's the day I threw away something precious for the second time. He holds out the envelope. I wrote you something. Inside is a letter, pages of handwritten reflection on everything we've experienced, every lesson learned, every change embraced. The final paragraph reads, "In 2 lifetimes, I've loved and lost you in different ways. In this third chance we've been given, I choose to love you with open eyes, seeing all your complexity, your capacity for both compassion and vengeance, your strength and vulnerability. I choose you not despite our history, but because of it, because no one else will ever understand the journey we've taken to reach this moment. Tears blur my vision as I reach into my bag, pulling out my own letter, carried all day like a talisman against repetition of the past. I wrote one too, I admit, handing it to him. I've been carrying it around, afraid to show you, afraid not to. We stand in the hallway, reading each other's deepest thoughts, most vulnerable admissions, the most honest exchange we've ever had across 3 lifetimes. When he looks up, his eyes are damp. What if, he suggests quietly, we consider this our real anniversary? Not the gallery, not the restart, but the day we chose each other with complete awareness. The significance of reclaiming this date, transforming it from a day of destruction to one of commitment, fills me with unexpected emotion. You want to rewrite the worst day into the best one? I ask, understanding immediately. I want to acknowledge that true love isn't about perfection, he says, taking my hands in his. It's about choosing each other even knowing exactly how we might hurt one another. In this moment, I feel the last walls around my heart dissolve, the armor I've carried across death and rebirth, through revenge and redemption. I'd like that very much, I answer through tears. The past finally released as we embrace a future neither of us could have imagined in our previous lives. This time we choose each other, not in ignorance or calculation, but with clear eyes and full hearts. This time we get it right,